Learning or thinking and multiple intelligences. One factor that brings about student diversity is thinking or learning styles. Individuals think and learn in distinct ways. In any groups of learners, there will always be different learning characteristics, particularly in the learner's manner of processing information. These preferences involve thinking or learning styles and multiple intelligences. Learning or thinking styles refer to the preferred way an individual processes information. They describe a person's typical mode of thinking, remembering, or problem solving. Having a particular learning or thinking style simply denotes a tendency to behave in a certain manner. Your style is usually described as a personality dimension which influences your attitudes, values, and social interaction. Learning or thinking styles typically refers to the mode of learning that we choose. So each of us has our own strategies to learn. So the strategies that we choose describes our personalities. There are several perspectives about learning thinking styles. We shall focus on sensory preferences and the global analytic continuum. Sensory preferences. Individuals tend to gravitate toward one or two types of sensory input and maintain a dominance in one of the following types. So the sensory preferences has two types which an individual dominates to one of the following. The visual learners, these learners prefers to learn from visual aids like diagrams, illustrated textbooks, as well as the facial expressions from their teachers. They typically learn from the imagery they have seen. Richard further breaks down visual learners into visual iconic. Those who prefer this form of input are interested in visual imagery such as film, graphic displays, or pictures in order to solidify learning. They usually have good picture memory, aka iconic imagery, and attend to pictorial detail. They would like to read a map better than to read a book. In the visual iconic, this refers to those individuals who are interested from learning in the visual imagery such as films, graphic displays, and they usually have good picture memory. They would like to read a map better than reading a book. Visual symbolic. Those who prefer this form of input feel comfortable with abstract symbolism such as mathematical formulae or the written word. They would prefer to read a book than a map and would like to read about things than hear about them. They tend to be a good abstract thinkers who do not require practical means of learning. In the visual symbolic case, this refers to those learners who tend to feel comfortable with abstract symbolism such as mathematical formulas. They tend to be a good abstract thinkers because they do not require practical means of learning. Auditory learners. They learn best through verbal lectures, discussions, talking things through, and listening to what others have to say. These learners often benefit from reading text aloud and using a tape recorder. They can attend orally to details, translate the spoken word easily into the written word, and are not easily distracted in their listening ability. The auditory learners. This refers to those individuals who prefer to learn verbally, like lectures, discussions, talking things, and listening to it. So they tend to be a good translator because of their listening ability. Auditory learners also fall into two categories. The listeners. This is the more common type. Listeners most likely do well in school. Out of school too, they remember things said to them and make the information their own. They may even carry on mental conversations and figure out how to extend what they learned by reviewing in their heads what they heard others say. So the listeners, these people are those individuals that has the listening ability. The dominance of listening ability are into them. They tend to carry mental conversations and solve it in their heads. They tend to figure out what other people say because of their listening ability. The talkers. They are the ones who prefer to talk and discuss. They often find themselves talking to those around them. In a class setting when the instructor is not asking questions, auditory verbal processors, the talkers tend to whisper comments to themselves. They are not trying to be disruptive and may not even realize that they need to talk. So, the talkers. This refers to those individuals who prefer to talk and discuss about a certain topic. Um, when they realize they have something in their head that they want to discuss about, they need to find ways to talk about it. Tactile or kinesthetic learners. These persons benefit much from a hands on approach, actively exploring the physical world around them. They may not benefit so much from the discussion or the written materials, and may become distracted by their need for activity and exploration. They tend to prefer learning by doing, preferring the use of psychomotor skills to, say, abstract thinking skills. They tend to have good motor memory and good motor coordination. So, in the tactile or kinesthetic learners, this refers to those individuals who prefer to learn a hands on approach, like exploring the physical world around them. So, these individuals tend to have a good motor memory and good motor coordination because they are eager to explore, they are eager to learn from the things by doing it. Global analytic continuum. Analytic. Analytic thinkers tend toward the linear step by step process of learning. They tend to see finite elements of patterns rather than the whole. They are the tree seers. Global. Global thinkers lean towards nonlinear thought and tend to see the whole pattern rather than the particle elements. They are the forest seers, who give attention only to the overall structure and sometimes ignore details. Analytic thinkers. So this refers to those individuals who prefer to analyze things in a step-by-step process. So they tend to see finite elements of patterns rather than seeing a whole. The global thinkers, on the other hand, these are those individuals who tend to see the whole pattern of elements rather than seeing the particular ones. So these people, they usually give attention to the whole structure of a certain thing, and sometimes they tend to ignore the details in it. Both sides of the brain can reason, but through different strategies. In an individual, one side may be more dominant than the other. The left brain is regarded as analytic in approach, while the right is described as holistic or global. A successive processor, the left brain, prefers to learn in a step by step sequential format, beginning with details leading to brain, prefers to learn beginning with the general concept and then a conceptual understanding of a skill.
Good morning, everyone. I am Janelus B. Ferrer. I am the second reporter for Module 5. I will discuss the two remaining topics, which are multiple intelligences and teaching strategies guided by thinking learning styles and multiple intelligences. Multiple intelligences. Howard Gardner, an American psychologist, first described the theory of multiple intelligences in his book Frames of Mind in year 1983. Gardner defines intelligences as an ability or set of abilities that allows a person to solve a problem or fashion a product that is valued in one or more cultures. He believes that different intelligences may be independent abilities, like a person can be low in one domain area but high in others. All of us possess the intelligence but varying degrees of strength. We have different strengths in various areas of intelligence. His most current research indicates that there are 9 distinct forms of intelligence. In order to facilitate learning effectively, teachers should use strategies that match these kinds of intelligences. Now, what are these 9 distinct forms of intelligences? First is the visual spatial intelligence or picture smart. It is learning visually and organizing ideas spatially, seeing concepts in action in order to understand them. The ability to see things in one's mind in planning to create a product or solve a problem. Visual spatial intelligence refers to a person's ability to perceive, analyze, and understand visual information in their surroundings. Example skills are good at remembering images, faces, and fine details, good at reading map, and excelled in the field of art. The second one is verbal linguistic or word smart. It is learning through spoken and written word. This intelligence is always valued in traditional classroom and in traditional assessment of intelligence and achievement. Verbal linguistic intelligence includes your ability to appreciate language and use it effectively to accomplish goals. People with verbal linguistic intelligence are good at public speaking, able to use words well both when writing and speaking. The third one is mathematical logical intelligence or number logic smart. It is learning through the reasoning and problem solving. It is also highly valued in the traditional classroom where students are asked to adapt to logically sequenced delivery of instruction. In mathematical or logical intelligence, this includes your ability to reason, to think critically and analytically, and your understanding of complex mathematical concepts. In this area, people are good at problem solving, coding, and good at logical analyzing problems. Now let's proceed to the fourth one, the bodily or kinesthetic intelligence or body smart. It is learning through interactions with one's environment. This intelligence is the domain of overly active learners. The bodily kinesthetic includes awareness of one's body. It means you are aware of your own body. Through this, you have the capacity to manipulate objects and use variety of physical skills. People with bodily kinesthetic intelligence can learn more easily by doing, exploring, and discovery. The fifth one is the musical intelligence or music smart. It is learning through patterns, rhythms, and music. This includes not only auditory learning but also identification of patterns through all the senses. So this includes your awareness of musical sounds, tones, and rhythms. It is the ability to perceive, distinguish, transform, and express sounds and musical forms. People with musical intelligence excelled in playing any instruments, excels in music like Lea Salonga, Sara Hieronimo, and other musicians. The sixth one is the intrapersonal intelligence or self-smart. It is learning through feelings, values, and attitudes. This is decidedly effective component of learning through which students place value on what they learn and take ownership for their learning. People with intrapersonal intelligence enjoys analyzing theories and ideas, have excellent self-awareness, and understand the basis for his or her own motivations and feelings. The seventh one is the interpersonal intelligence or people smart. It is learning through interaction with others, not the domain of children who are simply talkative or overly social. This intelligence promotes collaboration and working cooperatively with others. People with interpersonal intelligence have excellent awareness to their surroundings or to the people around them. This includes ability to relate to other people, understand their motivations, their goals, and their feelings. The eighth one is the naturalist or nature smart. It is learning through classification, categories, and hierarchies. The naturalist intelligence picks up subtle differences in meaning. It is not simply the study of nature, it can be used in all areas of study. It is the ability to identify and classify patterns in natural environment. Individuals with naturalist intelligence have a sensitivity to and appreciation for nature. The last one is the existential intelligence or spirit smart. It is learning by seeing the big picture, asking questions like, why are we here? What is my role in the world? What is my place in my family, school, and community? This intelligence seeks connection to the real world, understanding, and application of new learning. Existential intelligence is the ability to use intuition, thought, and metacognition to ask and answer deep questions about human existence. It is important for teachers to use their knowledge about thinking, learning styles, and multiple intelligences in planning activities to help their students learn effectively. While researches on these typologies continue, it is clear that the teachers can no longer just teach the textbook. It is a sensible practice to teach each child according to his, her thinking or learning styles and multiple intelligences. Now let us proceed to teaching strategies guided by thinking learning styles and multiple intelligences. Number 1. Use questions of all types to stimulate various levels of thinking, from recalling factual information to drawing implications and making value judgments. Example types of questions: closed questions, or closed or polar questions that are very short answers or have very short answers, just like yes or no. Another one is open or open-ended questions, asked for explanatory answers or typically encourage broader discussions. And another example is probing questions. Probing or trigger questions are used to gather more information and clarify details. And other types of questions that encourage your students to recall factual information, draw implications, and make value judgments. Number 2, provide a general overview of material to be learned. As a teacher, you need to provide a general overview of the lessons that will be tackled. It can be structured overviews, advanced organizer, and more, so that the students' past experiences will be associated with the new ideas. Number 3, allow sufficient time for information to be processed and then integrate using both right and left brain hemispheres. Number 4, set clear purposes before any listening, viewing, or reading experience. Number 5, warm up before the lesson development by brainstorming or set induction and more. Number 6, use multisensory means for both processing and retrieving information, like write directions on the board or give them orally. Number 7, use a variety of review or reflection strategies to bring closure to learning, like writing summaries, creating opinion surveys, and more. Number 8, use descriptive feedback rather than simply praising. Example sentence. The example you have provided is an excellent one to point to the concept of Charles Darwin's theory. That's all our discussion for Module 5. Thank you so much for watching and listening.